Eli Rao stood in the middle of the grand chamber, surrounded by shimmering walls that glowed with shifting colors. The air smelled faintly of metal and ozone. Four alien women stood in a semicircle before him, their smooth blue skin reflecting the light like glass. Their eyes, bright violet and gold, studied him with both curiosity and amusement. He could feel their laughter before he heard it. The shortest one, with silver spikes for hair, tilted her head and smirked. "He's so small," she said to the others. "Can we keep him as a pet?" The group giggled, musical and cold. Eli felt his face burn. This was not how he imagined humanity's first contact would go. Straightening his uniform, he tried to keep his voice calm. "I assure you," he said, "Earth is not primitive. We've come to share knowledge, not to be mocked." Their leader, taller, graceful, with violet markings across her face, circled him slowly. "You're very brave, human," she said softly. "Or perhaps just naive. Tell me, are all your kind so delicate?" Her tone carried amusement, but her eyes were sharp, testing him like a scientist watching an experiment. Eli met her gaze. "Delicate? Maybe not. Curious, yes? That's why I'm here." The leader's smile deepened. "Interesting answer." She glanced toward her companions. "Perhaps our guest has more to offer than his strange looks." Eli took the chance. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small metallic cube. With a tap, a bright holographic globe appeared in midair. "This," he said, "is my home. Earth." The alien women leaned closer. Continents spun slowly in the light, oceans glimmering like jewels. "Your planet is colorful," one said. Another wrinkled her tiny nose. "Too much water. Disgusting." Eli ignored the insult. "It's that water that gives life. Our air allows combustion, energy, and industry. We've built cities, explored the stars, and dreamed of meeting others, like you." For the first time, the leader's expression changed. The mocking edge softened into interest. "Combustion, you say?" she murmured. "Our atmosphere doesn't allow such things. Fire is unknown to us." Her voice lowered, thoughtful. "Perhaps there's more to your world than we thought." Encouraged, Eli brought up more data, chemical structures, maps, energy models. "We might learn from each other," he said. "Our worlds could share discoveries, trade, even friendship." The blue-haired alien rolled her eyes. "Friendship with a monkey? Boring." But the leader raised her hand for silence. "Enough," she said. "Let him finish." Eli continued, explaining Earth's journey into the stars. He spoke of human struggles, wars, survival, progress, and of how curiosity had pushed them forward. When he looked up again, the leader was watching him in a different way, not with ridicule, but with something like admiration. "What did you say your name was?" she asked. "Eli Rao," he said proudly. "Ambassador of Earth." "Eli Rao," she repeated, as if tasting the sound. "I am Era, commander of the Zenith Science Council." She stepped closer, close enough that he could see faint patterns glowing under her skin, like rivers of light. "You speak of sharing knowledge. Then show me. Let's see this human mind of yours at work." With a gesture, she led him through a doorway that melted open like liquid glass. The other aliens followed, whispering among themselves. The hall beyond was vast and alive, floors that rippled like water, towers of light rising into the air. Strange energy pulsed beneath their feet. "This," Era said, "is the Hall of Knowledge. It holds everything our civilization has learned." She touched a floating console, and the air filled with spinning holograms, mathematical symbols, star maps, formulas glowing like constellations. Eli stared, awestruck. "Incredible," he whispered. "You've mapped the structure of reality itself." Era glanced at him, eyebrows raised. "You understand this?" "Some of it," he said. "We call it quantum foam theory. On Earth, we've begun to explore similar ideas." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Impressive. Perhaps your species isn't as primitive as I thought." Eli felt a surge of pride. "Thank you. I believe our worlds could learn much from each other." Era's gaze held his, unreadable and sharp. "Perhaps," she said slowly. "But to understand something fully, one must observe it closely." She paused, then added, "Tell me, Ambassador, how far are you willing to go to prove your people's worth?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. The glowing chamber around them seemed to pulse with energy, and for the first time, Eli felt that this encounter, this meeting between human and alien, was about to change far more than he ever expected. Eli woke to a faint hum in the air, a sound that seemed to vibrate through his bones. The alien city outside his quarters shimmered in soft shades of blue and silver, alive with motion. Ships moved between crystalline towers like glowing insects. He had dreamed of such sights since childhood, but now that he was here, the feeling wasn't awe. It was unease. He had been granted temporary residence inside the Zenith Council's research complex. In truth, it felt like a gilded cage. Every corridor curved like the inside of a seashell, every wall transparent yet solid. And everywhere, those glowing eyes, scientists, guards, curious observers, studying him as though he were some rare creature from a forgotten world. When the door dissolved open with a whisper, Era entered, flanked by 2 attendants. Her posture was calm, her expression unreadable. "You've rested well, I trust?" "As well as a specimen can," Eli said dryly. Her lips curved faintly. "Specimen? No, Ambassador. You are a participant in a cross-species research exchange." He raised an eyebrow. "An exchange usually means both sides share something." "Exactly," she replied. "You'll learn from us, and we'll learn from you." The attendants stepped forward, carrying sleek instruments that pulsed with faint light. Eli tensed, but Era raised a hand. "Don't worry. Just readings. We're curious about your biology, your senses, your mind." He exhaled slowly. "Fine. But if you're going to scan me, I'd like to see what you're doing." Era smiled in approval. "Good. Curiosity, the best human trait." As the scanning began, the air shimmered with blue patterns, tracing his heartbeat, his neural pathways, even the micro-fluctuations of his thoughts. The display around him filled with symbols and alien graphs. "Your structure is inefficient," Era said after a moment, "yet strangely resilient. Your kind survives in conditions that would destroy most species." "That's what humans do," Eli said. "We survive, even when the universe tells us we shouldn't." Era tilted her head, intrigued. "That defiance, it's what sets you apart." The analysis continued. Eli noticed something peculiar. The instruments began to glow brighter as they neared him, almost resonating with his energy. One of the attendants frowned. "Commander, his neural field is reacting to the array." Era's eyes narrowed. "Increase resolution." Slowly, the light intensified. Eli's skin tingled, like static crawling over his body. The chamber vibrated. Suddenly, a burst of energy shot across the room, not violent, but powerful enough to make the walls ripple. Everyone froze. The attendants exchanged alarmed looks. Era, however, stepped forward, fascinated. "Remarkable," she whispered. "Your body generates a harmonic frequency we've never recorded before. It's as if your mind sings to the energy field." Eli blinked. "That doesn't sound bad." "It's not bad," she said softly. "It's impossible." A long silence followed. Then Era dismissed her attendants with a sharp motion. When the door sealed, she turned back to him. "Do you realize what this means?" Eli shook his head. "You tell me." She moved closer, her violet eyes shining. "Our species manipulates matter through resonance. We shape energy with thought. But your very biology is naturally attuned to it. If we could understand this connection, it could change everything." Eli crossed his arms. "Or it could destroy something you don't understand." Her gaze flickered, the faintest flash of respect. "You think like a scientist and speak like a soldier." "I'm both," he said quietly. Era studied him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed, a soft, melodic sound. "You humans are a contradiction," Eli Rao. "Fragile, yet unyielding. Limited, yet endlessly ambitious." He smiled faintly. "That's our charm." She turned, looking out the window at the glittering spires of her world. "There's a council meeting tomorrow," she said finally. "They want to decide what to do with you. Some see you as a threat. Others, a miracle. Either way, you've changed the balance of things." Eli frowned. "And what do you see me as?" Era met his eyes again. "An experiment," she said, but her voice softened. "One I intend to understand completely." Before he could reply, the floor pulsed under his feet, an alarm tone, deep and resonant. Lights across the corridor flared red. Era's expression hardened instantly. "Security breach. Someone's trying to access your data logs." Eli's pulse quickened. "Someone from your people?" She nodded grimly. "Not everyone here wants peace, Ambassador. Some believe knowledge from your kind should be taken, not shared. As alien guards sprinted past their chamber, Era turned back to him, eyes sharp. Stay close to me. Whatever happens, you are not just an experiment anymore. You are now the center of a conflict none of us saw coming. Eli's heart pounded as they ran through the shimmering halls. The world of Zeta 9, once dazzling and mysterious, now felt like a cage ready to shatter. And for the first time since leaving Earth, he understood something chilling. He wasn't just representing humanity. He was defending it. The corridors of the Zenith complex glowed dim red as alarms echoed through the alien city. The air itself seemed alive, pulsing with tension, humming with danger. Eli followed Era down a spiraling passage that looked like a living artery of glass. Every turn flickered with symbols that shifted faster than he could read. What's happening? He asked, breath uneven. Who's attacking? Era didn't slow. Not an attack, a breach. Someone inside the council has decided your knowledge shouldn't be shared. They want your neural data, your mind. Eli's stomach tightened. They're trying to steal what I know about Earth. Worse, she said grimly. They want to extract the resonance you produced earlier. If they succeed, they could weaponize it. They think you're the key to controlling thought-based energy. That's insane. To them, it's evolution, Era replied. To me, it's suicide. They reached a sealed wall that shimmered like liquid glass. Era pressed her palm to its surface, and the wall dissolved into a wide, dark chamber beneath the city. The air here was cool and still. Giant transparent tubes lined the walls, filled with swirling lights that pulsed like trapped stars. Eli's eyes widened. What is this place? The core archive, she said softly. Every piece of our scientific history is stored here. Our experiments, our failures, our secrets. Her voice carried weight. This was not a place visitors were supposed to see. As they moved deeper inside, the hum of the city above grew faint. Only the low vibration of the core filled the silence. In the center stood a tall crystalline pillar, rotating slowly, its surface etched with ancient alien script. Era placed her hand on the pillar, and a holographic sphere bloomed above it, filled with swirling galaxies. This, she said, is where we track every civilization we've ever encountered. We've watched thousands rise and fall. But humanity, she paused. Your world caught our attention because it burns so bright for something so fragile. Eli frowned. You've been observing Earth? For centuries, Era admitted. We saw your wars, your chaos, your defiance. And yet, every time your species was on the brink of destruction, you survived. You evolved. You refused to surrender. She turned toward him, her expression unreadable. Do you understand how rare that is in the universe? Eli stared into the glowing archive, feeling both pride and unease. Maybe surviving is all we know how to do. Era nodded. Perhaps that's why your resonance reacted with our technology. Your kind doesn't bend. You resist, even reality itself. Before Eli could respond, a sharp hum filled the air. The pillar flickered, and Era's face hardened. They found us. Suddenly, panels along the walls split open, revealing small hovering drones, sleek, silver, and armed with glowing energy rings. They moved like predators, circling the two intruders. Eli instinctively stepped forward. Let me handle this. You? Era asked, astonished. Trust me, he said. Humans are good at surviving chaos. He grabbed a metal rod from the floor. It was some kind of tool, heavy but balanced. The drones emitted high-pitched tones as they prepared to fire. Eli crouched low, watching the patterns of their movements, his brain calculating like an engineer under fire. Then he moved. The first drone fired a bolt of light, but Eli rolled aside, slamming the rod into its glowing center. Sparks burst across the room. Another drone swooped down, but Era raised her hand, her eyes flaring violet, and a shockwave of energy rippled outward, knocking it from the air. Not bad, Eli shouted over the chaos. Guess I'm not the only one who improvises. Era smirked, releasing another wave that shattered a pair of drones. I see why your species keeps surviving. In seconds, the chamber was silent again, littered with fragments of glowing metal. The pillar pulsed weakly, its light dimming. Era turned to him. They'll send more. We need to move before the council tracks our energy signatures. Where can we go? She hesitated. There's an old sublevel beneath the core, built before even my time. No records exist of it. If we can reach it, we might buy ourselves time. Together, They approached a hidden hatch at the base of the pillar. Era activated a code sequence, and the floor opened into a vertical tunnel filled with blue mist. Eli looked down into the glowing depths. "You're sure about this?" "No," she said simply. "But sometimes the only way forward is down." With a deep breath, Eli stepped into the unknown. The mist wrapped around him, weightless and cold, pulling him deeper. Lights streaked past like falling stars. When he landed, he found himself in a massive underground cavern, walls carved from crystal, faintly glowing with energy veins. It felt ancient, like something alive. Era descended beside him, her voice low and reverent. "This place was once the cradle of our first experiments. Before the council, before the rules." Eli looked around, all mixing with unease. "And now, she said quietly, "it might be the only place we can survive." Above them, faint explosions echoed through the city, the sound of pursuit. And deep in the darkness of the forgotten chamber, Eli realized that this wasn't just an escape. It was the beginning of a new discovery, one that could change both their worlds forever. The air inside the hidden chamber was heavy with energy, a deep, thrumming pulse that seemed to echo inside Eli's chest. The walls glowed faintly, veins of light shifting in rhythm with some unseen heartbeat. He brushed his hand against one of the crystalline surfaces, and it vibrated under his touch, humming in response to his pulse. Era stepped beside him, her violet eyes reflecting the light. "Do you feel that?" she asked quietly. "The chamber is responding to you." Eli nodded, unsettled. "It's like it knows I'm here." "It does," she murmured. "This structure was built to detect consciousness. It reacts only to minds strong enough to alter its frequency." He frowned. "You mean it's alive?" "In a way," Era said. "The ancients called it the Lumine Core, the foundation of our earliest science. We thought it was only a myth." She placed her hand on the wall beside his, and the glow intensified, wrapping both of them in a cocoon of shifting light. "Until now." Eli took a cautious step back. "Why is it reacting to me? I don't belong here." "That's exactly why," Era replied. "Your resonance, that strange frequency your mind emits, it bridges energy forms we can't even measure. You don't just observe reality, Eli. You bend it." Her words sent a chill down his spine. "You make it sound like I'm dangerous." Era turned to face him, her expression unreadable. "Maybe you are." Before he could respond, a low rumble shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling, and a deep crack of thunder rolled through the cavern. "They've breached the upper core," Era said, her voice suddenly tense. "We don't have much time." She moved quickly to the center of the chamber, activating a circular platform carved with alien runes. "This will connect you to the Lumine Core. If you can stabilize its pulse, it might mask our energy signatures and hide us." Eli blinked. "Wait, you want me to interface with it? I'm not even sure I understand how." "You don't have to understand," she interrupted, her tone fierce but steady. "Just trust it. And trust yourself." Reluctantly, Eli stepped onto the platform. The ground beneath him began to hum, soft at first, then louder, deeper, until it felt like the sound was inside his bones. The light around him turned white-hot. He gasped, feeling his thoughts stretch outward, as if his mind were dissolving into the air. He saw flashes, images that weren't his own, stars collapsing, alien civilizations rising and falling in the dark, strange symbols written in fire. And at the center of it all, a glowing thread connecting everything. His heartbeat aligned with the pulse of the chamber. For a moment, he wasn't Eli Rao of Earth. He was something else, a bridge between two species, two frequencies of life. Era's voice reached him faintly, distant and muffled. "Eli, can you hear me?" He opened his eyes. The chamber was brighter now, every surface alive with light. The hum had steadied into a low, perfect tone, harmony. "I did it," he breathed. "It's stable." Era stared at him in disbelief. "You connected with the core in seconds. No one has ever done that." He staggered off the platform, dizzy. "It felt like it wanted to talk to me." Before she could respond, the walls flared crimson. A new sound cut through the chamber, mechanical, sharp, wrong. The purifiers had arrived. Dozens of drones descended through a newly opened breach, their lights scanning the darkness. Behind them came tall figures in dark armor, their movements precise and inhuman. At their center was a figure with metallic skin and a black staff pulsing with energy. Commander Era. The figure's voice echoed, cold and commanding. Step away from the human. The council has decreed his containment. Era's stance hardened. Containment? You mean eradication. The leader tilted its head slightly. He's contaminated your world. His resonance is destabilizing our systems. This anomaly must be purged. Eli clenched his fists. You're afraid of something you don't understand. Understanding is irrelevant, the figure replied. Control is survival. Energy bolts crackled as the drones closed in. Era moved fast, creating a shimmering barrier of light. It trembled under impact. Eli, she shouted. The core responds to your will. Use it. He turned toward the pulsating pillar at the chamber's heart. The hum was still inside him, resonating with every heartbeat. Closing his eyes, he reached for that invisible thread. Light exploded from the ground, rising in streams around him. The air crackled. The drones froze midair as if suspended by invisible strings. Then, with a sound like shattering glass, they disintegrated, dissolving into harmless particles of light. The armored figure stumbled back, shielding its face from the brightness. Impossible, it shouted. Eli opened his eyes, glowing faintly with the core's energy. You see? Humanity doesn't destroy, it adapts. The chamber quieted. Only the fading hum of the core remained. Era stepped closer, looking at him with awe. You've done more than adapt, Eli. You've awakened something ancient, something that's been waiting. He swallowed hard, the light dimming from his skin. Then we'd better find out what it wants, before the council decides to end us both. From deep within the core, a low, melodic tone began to rise, almost like a voice. It echoed through the chamber in both their minds, a single phrase resonating in alien and human tongues alike. The bridge has been formed. Eli and Era exchanged a look that carried equal parts wonder and fear. Whatever they had awakened was alive, and it had just spoken. The voice that echoed through the chamber wasn't made of sound. It vibrated through the air, through the stone, through the blood in Eli's veins. Every light in the cavern pulsed with the same rhythm, matching the steady beat of his heart. Era's eyes widened as she clutched her temples. It's communicating, directly through neural resonance. Eli staggered backward, his breath sharp. What is it saying? It's not words, she said, her voice trembling. It's intent. The core recognizes you. It's calling you the bridge. The glowing walls shimmered brighter, and the crystalline pillar at the center unfolded like a blooming flower. From its core emerged a lattice of light, delicate, alive, shifting like liquid glass. It formed a shape, vaguely human, vaguely alien, and yet both. Eli stared. Is that the Lumine Core's consciousness? Era whispered. We thought it was a machine, but it's aware. The figure spoke again, its voice a blend of tones that made the air hum. Eli, Rao of Earth. Era of Zenith. You have restored the broken resonance. The divide between species may now heal or collapse. Eli's pulse thundered. Heal or collapse? What do you mean? But the being didn't answer in words. Images flared in his mind. Visions of stars torn apart by war, civilizations erased by fear of difference. Then, just as suddenly, he saw glimpses of unity. Humans and aliens working side by side. Children of two worlds building something new. Era gasped, seeing the same vision. It's showing us possibilities. Future timelines. The being's light dimmed slightly, and its voice deepened. The bridge must choose which future to ignite. Me? Eli said, disbelief in his voice. I didn't ask for any of this. Era stepped closer to him, her expression soft but firm. Maybe not. But you are the first to connect us, truly connect us. Whatever happens next depends on your choice. Before he could answer, the entire chamber trembled. The ground split, and fragments of crystal shot into the air. The Purifier Commander had returned, surrounded by a dozen new drones, heavier, darker, each armed with energy cannons that hummed with lethal power. You cannot control what you don't understand, the commander hissed. The core belongs to us. The human must be purged. Era drew herself up, energy crackling along her hands. Over my dead body. She hurled a burst of radiant force that slammed into the lead drone, shattering it. The chamber erupted into chaos. Energy bolts streaked across the cavern. Eli dove behind a pillar as explosions rocked the ground. Eli, Era shouted, her voice echoing through the noise. The core. It listens to you. Command it. I don't know how, he yelled back. Yes, you do. It responds to your intent, your emotion. You have to feel it. Another blast struck the ground near him, sending shards of crystal flying. He closed his eyes, focusing past the fear, the noise, the chaos. He thought of Earth, of the fragile blue planet that had sent him into the unknown, believing peace was possible. He thought of every scientist, every explorer, every human who had ever dared to reach beyond fear. He opened his eyes. I want peace, he whispered. I want connection. The core pulsed, once, twice, and then erupted in a storm of light. A sphere of pure resonance expanded outward, passing harmlessly through Era, but freezing the purifier soldiers mid-stride. Their weapons disintegrated. The air grew weightless. The commander snarled, trying to raise its staff. You think you can rewrite the laws of our kind? Eli stepped forward, glowing with the same energy as the core. His voice echoed with quiet power. No, I'm not rewriting them. I'm reminding you that fear isn't survival, it's extinction. The resonance expanded again, brighter than before. The commander screamed as its armor cracked, light pouring from within. Then silence, absolute silence. When it faded, the drones and the commander were gone. Only the hum of the core remained, steady and calm. Era approached him slowly, her expression unreadable. You didn't destroy them, she said softly. You transformed them. Their energy's been reabsorbed into the core. Eli's glow began to fade. I just wanted to stop the fighting. Era smiled faintly. You did more than that. You've proven what no scientist or warrior ever could. That emotion, not logic, is the strongest energy in the universe. The core's voice filled the chamber again, softer now. The bridge is stable. The path of unity is open. Protect it well. The pillar's light dimmed, and the figure of energy dissolved into a stream of glowing dust that drifted upward through the cracks in the ceiling, out into the world above. Eli sank to his knees, exhausted. Is it over? Era looked up at the swirling light vanishing into the distance. No, she said quietly. It's just beginning. They stood together in the silence that followed, surrounded by the soft glow of the ancient core, two beings from different worlds, bound by something greater than science or survival. And somewhere deep in the planet's heart, the pulse of the Lumine core continued, a heartbeat for a future not yet written. The silence after the battle felt unreal. The air still shimmered with faint traces of energy, like the last echoes of a dying song. Eli stood motionless, his chest heaving, the core's faint glow reflecting in his eyes. His pulse still thrummed with the same rhythm as the chamber itself. Era approached carefully, her violet gaze steady but soft. You're still resonating with it, she said quietly. The core hasn't released you. Eli exhaled, his breath fogging faintly in the radiant light. It feels like it's still inside me, like it's watching through my eyes. That's because you and it are linked now, Era said. You didn't just use its power, you became a part of it. Eli tried to step forward, but his vision blurred. The chamber around him shifted, and for a moment, he wasn't there. He saw vast fields of stars, countless worlds, endless civilizations flickering like candles. And behind it all, a vast consciousness whispered, not in words, but in feeling, guard the bridge. When he blinked, he was back, trembling. Era, I saw something, a network, worlds connected by light. It wasn't just Zeta, 9 or Earth. There were thousands. Era's expression grew solemn. The core is older than both our civilizations. It remembers creation itself. Maybe it's showing you what came before us. Before Eli could respond, a sharp tone cut through the chamber. Era's wristband flared with an urgent symbol. The Council, she said, scanning the display. They've declared a planetary emergency. They think the core has gone rogue. They're preparing to destroy this entire region from orbit. Eli's heart skipped. They'll wipe out the core, and us with it. Unless we convince them otherwise, she said grimly. He stepped closer, desperate. They won't listen to reason. You said half the Council sees me as a threat. That's why they'll listen to me, Era said. If we can reach the central communication spire, I can transmit your resonance across the planetary network. They'll see what the core showed us, that we're not enemies. Eli nodded, his resolve hardening. Then let's move. Lead the way. They climbed through the fractured tunnels, emerging into the open world above. The alien sky burned with streaks of gold and blue, clouds swirling around a twin-sun horizon. Zeta 9's capital stretched before them, shimmering towers reflecting the chaos. Alarms blared, skies filled with evacuation craft. This city once represented knowledge, Era said bitterly. Now it's a fortress of fear. Then let's remind them what knowledge is for, Eli said. They reached the spire, a colossal needle of glass rising into the heavens. Guards swarmed its base, their armor flashing. When they saw Era, they hesitated. When they saw Eli beside her, their weapons rose. Era stepped forward, her voice clear and commanding. Stand down. This human is under my protection by decree of the Zenith Council. One of the guards hesitated. Commander, the Council's orders were clear. Terminate the resonance anomaly. Eli could feel the core's hum growing in his chest again, faint but steady. He raised his hands. If you kill me, you destroy your future. Let me show you what I saw. A ripple of light flared from his palms. Not an attack, but an image. The air filled with holographic visions of what the core had revealed. Alien and human hands working together. Two worlds united, children born under twin suns. The guards froze, all replacing fear. Era seized the moment. That's what we're fighting for. Not control, connection. With the guards stepping aside, they sprinted into the spire. Inside, a vast column of crystal rose through the center, the communication array. Era placed her hands on the console, but the system rejected her input. They've locked it down. Eli stepped forward. Let me try. He touched the console. Instantly, the entire spire lit up with blinding light. His resonance merged with the system, the core's energy flowing through him like liquid fire. The message spread across every channel, every screen, every mind on the planet, and beyond. Eli's voice echoed through the network, not through speakers, but through thought itself. People of Zeta, 9, people of Earth. I came here as a messenger, but I became something more, a witness to what we could become. Fear built the walls between us. Understanding can break them. The core showed us what unity looks like. You can feel it now, inside your own minds. This is not invasion. This is connection. We are one pulse, one breath, one universe. Every being on Zeta, 9 felt it. For a brief, transcendent moment, the mental barriers between species dissolved. They felt humanity's heart, its pain, its hope, its unyielding will to live. And through it, the Zetans saw themselves reflected back, proud, intelligent, flawed, yearning for something greater. The planetary alarm fell silent. The orbiting weapons halted mid-charge. The collective fear that had driven them vanished, replaced by the soft hum of shared consciousness. When the light faded, Eli collapsed, gasping. Era caught him before he hit the ground. You did it, she whispered. They felt it. All of them. He managed a weak smile. Yes, diplomacy still works, sometimes. Above them, the spire's glow softened, shifting into a gentle golden light, a sign of harmony across the planetary grid. The first signal of a new alliance. Era looked out at her world, her voice filled with wonder. You've changed everything, Eli. Not through war, but through understanding. He smiled faintly. That's what humans do best. We learn, even when it hurts. And far above them, unseen by either, the Lumine core pulsed once. A single brilliant heartbeat that echoed into the stars, awakening across distant worlds that had long forgotten its song. The bridge had been built, but the universe had only just begun to notice. The twin suns of Zeta, 9 rose over a world forever changed. The sky was streaked with silver auroras, rippling gently. The lingering traces of Eli's resonance wave that had spread through the entire planet the night before. Where once the air was filled with alarms and fear, now there was stillness. Not peace, not yet, but something close, understanding. Eli stood on a balcony high above the city, the wind brushing against his face. He looked different now. Pale veins of light still traced faintly beneath his skin, a quiet reminder of the core's energy still inside him. Below, the people of Zeta, 9 were gathering, scientists, soldiers, civilians, all looking up at the sky that shimmered with new hope. Era joined him silently, her violet eyes reflecting the dawn. The council has agreed, she said at last. The core will be protected, not destroyed. They finally understand what it truly is. Eli exhaled slowly. A bridge, not a weapon. Yes, she said softly. A bridge. Between all of us. He leaned against the railing, his gaze distant. How's the city holding together? Better than I expected. Some still fear what happened, but many have changed. They felt what you showed them, that we aren't so different. He smiled faintly. Empathy. The hardest science of all. Era turned toward him, her expression unreadable. And what about you, Eli Rao of Earth? What happens to the man who became the core's voice? He hesitated. I don't know. Part of me feels like I should go home. The other part. He looked toward the horizon, where the core's energy still glowed faintly. The other part knows I'm not the same anymore. Earth sent me as a diplomat, but I think I've become something else. Something more, Era said. The bridge still lives inside you. Its power could rebuild worlds, or destroy them, depending on your will. He met her gaze. Then I'll make sure it's used to heal, not harm. They stood in silence as a soft hum filled the air. From the sky descended a formation of sleek ships, Earth vessels. The first human fleet to ever reach Zeta, 9 in peace. Eli's communicator crackled. Ambassador Rao, this is Commander Jean of the Horizon. We received your broadcast. Earth heard everything. We're ready to assist in establishing the treaty. He smiled, emotion rising in his chest. Welcome to Zeta, 9, Commander. You're standing on the first world where humans and another species stood side by side, not as conquerors, but as equals. As the ships settled over the city, holographic beacons projected from the core's towers, forming glowing pathways between Earth's fleet and the alien capital. It was as if the planet itself was reaching upward to meet the stars. Era glanced up, awe softening her features. It's beautiful, almost as if the core is celebrating. Eli nodded slowly. Maybe it is. Maybe it's been waiting for this moment, for proof that connection is possible. He turned to her, his expression sincere. Thank you, Era, for believing in me when your world didn't. She smiled faintly. You taught me that belief isn't weakness. It's the first step toward understanding. A long pause lingered between them, filled not with tension, but with peace. Two souls who had begun as strangers, now bound by something far larger than themselves. From below, the hum of the city grew louder as both species gathered near the central spire. A new symbol appeared in the sky, the emblem of the Alliance. Two hands, one human and one Zetan, joined together in light. Era looked at it, then at him. They've named it after you, you know? The Rao Accord, the first interspecies peace treaty in our history. Eli laughed softly, shaking his head. I never wanted my name on a treaty. I just wanted people to listen. Sometimes, Era said, that's all it takes to change the universe. A deep, harmonious tone vibrated through the air, the sound of the core awakening once more. Both looked up as a beam of golden light shot skyward, disappearing into the void above. For a moment, it was silent. Then, across the horizon, faint pulses of light began answering. Other worlds, distant and ancient, responding to the signal. Era's voice trembled. It's reaching beyond our system. Eli's eyes widened. The core isn't just reawakening Zeta 9. It's awakening the network, the entire ancient lattice it once controlled. Do you think they'll come? She whispered. He smiled. If they're anything like us, curious, stubborn, and desperate to understand, then yes. They'll come. They stood together, watching the lights ripple across the sky like constellations being reborn. The bridge between worlds had not only survived, it had grown. And for the first time in known history, the galaxy felt smaller. Not because it had shrunk, but because two species had dared to reach across its emptiness and say, "We see you." As the suns rose higher, Eli turned to Era one last time. Let's get to work, he said with quiet determination. We have a universe to rebuild. Era's lips curved into a smile, not cold, not mocking, but genuine. Side by side, Ambassador. The wind carried their voices upward, into the glowing morning sky, as the twin suns blazed over a newborn alliance, the beginning of the age of light and unity.